Welcome to our craft instruction for week 5 of our Teen Summer Virtual Activity Challenge. So many words. So Kathy here, Teen Services Librarian, here to give you some instructions for our craft this week. So this week we are doing, it's sort of a craft, but it isn't a craft, but it's called bullet journaling. And while doing it, you can be very creative. It's not really a craft, but I thought it'd be something that you guys could try, maybe help you get a little bit more organized, but also be your own creative self. Or if not, you're not creative, that's perfectly fine. It works for both people. So I thought I would give this a try. Maybe learn something new, which I always do when we do these fun crafts. So don't forget that if you want to do the craft, you have to give us a call at 760-839-5456. Hopefully the number will be somewhere on this screen. If not, that's okay. We'll put it in the description box. Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 12 to 2. Call that number. Say, hey, I want to pick up a craft bag, and we will bring it out to you. But yeah, just call us when you get here. Okay. This might be a little bit long because we're going to set up your bullet journal and this might take a few minutes. So the concept of bullet journaling is a method of journaling and note-taking that uses bullet points as the core structure of the journaling. So creating quick notes rather than like writing these really long sentences. But the great part about that is you start with that. You start with the bullets. Right? But then it expands so much from there, as we will see in a few moments when we get into the meat of the bullet journal. So some of the concepts of bullet journaling, there's a couple of different things that go into making your bullet journal. So I thought I'd explain a couple quick concepts so when you understand it, it makes a bit more sense when you get there. Yeah? So some of the elements of a bullet journal. First, there's your index, which is basically like a table of contents right at the beginning, and you update it as you go, so that as you're working on your bullet journal and you need to look at a list or something you've created, the index is where you'll keep track of where that is in your journal, because it's not free form, but you can kind of put anything anywhere you want. It's a good place to organize what's in your actual journal. There's also your daily log, which is basically like stuff that you need to do that day, and also stuff that you did, and any observations or general notes or thoughts that you want to write down. Sort of taking your whole day and putting it into like one area, which is really nice. There's also a monthly log, which is basically like a traditional monthly calendar, and then the other part is the stuff that you want to get done or completed within that month, or maybe stuff that you forgot to do the last month that you're moving over into that month. And there's also rapid logging. So usually when you're doing your like daily tasks, things like that, you can use what they call rapid logging. You can write, go to the store, do this, do that, call my mom, stuff like that. And you can use a couple of these little symbols when you rapid log to make sure that you're keeping yourself on task with those items that you need to do that day. And then also future log is basically like a year-long calendar that you can use to see, into the future, or you can see what's happening for a whole year if that's something that works for you. So you can use any journal that you want. It can be lined, it can be blank, it can have a grid pattern, like graph paper, or it can be a dot grid journal, which is the kind that that's gonna be in your bag. I'll show you in just a minute. And yeah, the only two things you have to, like, the journal that you get is a good size, but if you like what we're doing here and you want to expand, because once, if your journal gets full, you need a new one, or your notebook, technically. But you want to make sure that if you for some reason buy a new one or a different one or something like that, you want to make sure that the size of it and the quality of it. If it's too small, you won't be able to fit everything. If it's too big, it might not fit in like your backpack. Probably big enough to fit something that's larger than 5x7, but you want to make sure that, and quality too, like if you like really nice paper or like pockets in the back or something like that. That's up to you if you want to spend money for quality. But if it's just something, if you're not going to be artsy fartsy about it, you know, and you want it to help you really organize and focus, then it doesn't really matter about the quality. You just want to make sure that the pages won't bleed through if you end up using like pens and gel pens and markers and things like that. So, is it a to-do list? Is it a planner? Is it a diary? What is it? It's actually a bullet journal is all of those things encompassed together. It has all of those elements. You can use it to track and plan your day-to-day activities. You can use it to, you know, make notes, to do more of a diary type entry, you know, make notes, observations, and you can create to-do lists. So it's like a planner and a to-do list and a diary sort of all in one. So you can use it kind of, again, like once you set it up, you can kind of use it any way you want. So anywhere, we've done all of that in stuff. Now I'm going to switch the camera mode real quick so that you guys can focus on the table that I'm looking at so you can see what we're doing. One more sip of coffee though. It's kind of early. Well, it's not early, but yum, coffee. Okay, now we've changed the camera view so you can kind of see what's going on here. I did my nails just so they'd be pretty for today. So let's start off with what is in your bag. So what's in your bag? You get a bullet journal. It's just a small journal. This is the dot grid journal that you see here. You also get this cute little how to start a bullet journal thing that I gave you. And it tells you, we're gonna go kind of use this and kind of show you how it works. And you can use this to figure out how it works. There, that's in your bag. What else is in your bag? Here's your bag. Whee! So what else is in your bag? Bullet journal, instructions, and then we got a bunch of stuff. I'm just taking the stuff out of the bag. Excuse me. You have got 3 colored pens. They're just kind of random colors. And you've got 2 of these cool like dual edge markers. One has the brush pen and the other one has the pointy tip end. Hopefully you can see what's happening. Yes, pointy tip end. And then you've got like one sort of prettier washi tape. And then you've got 2 of these little skinnier washi tapes that you can use to decorate your journal. And then I gave you a little bag of like these randomly weird, random stickers. And then a pineapple smelling bookmark. It's a scratch and sniff. You get a ruler, so to help you make straight lines. And I threw in some of these fun smelling stickers. Because why? Because why not? I mean, that's amazing. So this is all in your stuff. So we're going to put it over to the side. I'm not going to use this stuff because I'm going to show you with my stuff. Well, same stuff. But here's our little guide. Here's our journal. And I realized I can't see. Here's my doohickey thing. I've got some colored pens here. The camera tripod is in the way, so it's a bit hard to do what I'm doing. And we've got some colored pens and then some of those brush pens. Okay? So, first thing you want to do is just choose a color. Let's see, what does it say? So I told you about all of this stuff here at the beginning. But then the first thing you want to do is every page in your journal gets a number. Okay? So you don't need to number the whole journal. If you're just starting out your journal, oh, this camera leg, I can't, my hand doesn't work. It's in the way. Can you see my hand? I guess you can. Anyway, so every page gets a number. So you don't need to number the whole thing. You just want to number at least the first 10 to 20 pages. This is just kind of like your front page. You don't have to worry about this. You can decorate this if you want, put your name on it, stuff. But you want to open it up so you're at your first spread, as they call this. So this would be page 1. This would be page 2. This would be page 3, 4. For time's sake, we're just gonna number to 5 to 10. 5, 6. And this is the system. That's why we number the pages, so that when you create something, you can write down where it is, so you'll know how to get back to it. 9 and 10. So we're just going to go with 10 today. Okay? So we have numbered our pages. So we're going to go back to our first spread, and this is going to be your index. So take one of your colored pens, take your swooshy marker. Put my markers here. And you just want to label the top index. You can do this any way you want. You can get fancy, you cannot get fancy. If your handwriting sucks, that's perfectly fine. This is just for your purposes, organization purposes. Just want to make sure everything is being seen. Yeah? Okay. So we're just going to write index. I'm going to use one of the fancy brush pens and be like, woo, look, index. Woo! Index. That's so fun. And then you can be like, ooh, swishy, swishy. Ooh, swishy, swishy. Or you can use your ruler and make a nice line. Do whatever you want. So, there's your index. Ready to go. And you don't have anything else in your bullet journal yet, so there's nothing to write in your index. So we have to put some stuff in there. So first thing you want to do is your future log. Now, if you don't need a year view in your bullet journal, you don't need to do that. But for safety, not for safety's sake, but for this sake, we're gonna basically say that we're gonna create a a future log, as they call it. So if you want to just cover the whole year. So we're in the middle of 2020. So you have a couple of options. You can do I think I was practicing before. Here it is. So you can do it like this if you want. You can like put 3 blocks for your months if you know you're going to be writing a lot of stuff, and then you would do like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You do those 4 spreads for your year. Or if you know you're not going to be writing a lot, you can make little boxes like this. So your so your future log is only like small squares. And then you can just put in like the basic highlights. It just depends. I mean, try it the way you like it, or the way it looks. And then you can always change it the next time, or realize that it doesn't work for you, do it a different way. But if you need more space, you can do it like that. If you need less space, you can do it like this. Yeah, there's so many options. That's why the dot journal is really nice, because you can make really nice clean lines, and then, I can write in cursive, so mine looks fairly decent. And then I made a mistake over here, so I covered it with a piece of washi tape. So that was really handy. Then I had to put a piece over here to like balance out, because otherwise it looks kind of weird. Anyway, I realized you can't see any of that. Oh, poop. But anyway, here we go. 3 boxes, or you can make 6 boxes, whatever works for you. Or if you don't want to do the year, you don't have to. So that's kind of what the year looks like. I'm not going to flip it back over because, well, I'd need to do that. But if you'll notice, you know what? I just might do that way instead. This is my original index, sorry. I pulled it out because I used this to like write notes and stuff. But technically this is your index, right? And you've written your 2020 calendar. Let's say you use two pages. You use pages 3 and you use page 4. So that means on your index you'd write, whatever 2020 calendar 3, 4. That means your 2020 calendar can be found on page 3 and 4, right? Excellent. So now after you've done your year, you want to move on to your month. We're almost at the end of July, but I went ahead and, for the purposes of this, I went ahead and just did the month of July so that you get an idea of what it looked like. So basically it's the same thing. Write whatever you want up here, write the month. And so one side is going to be your month, like your specific dates, things you need to remember. And then the other side is going to be the to-do list part, like what you need to get done in the month of July, right? So for the month, it's really easy. You just put the date starting at the first, going all the way to the end. You can also write the day of the week right next to it so that you know that, okay, the 1st of July is a Wednesday. If that's not necessary and you don't need to know that, you don't have to, but it's a good way to be like, okay, the 1st is a Wednesday. Sometimes you can't remember the date, but you can remember the day of the week. Like, I always have flute on Wednesdays, kind of thing. And then you can write something in, like if you know, like your grandma's birthday is on the 13th, you can write Meemaw's B-Day, and that's an important date for you. B-Dad, huh? B-Day, haha, B-Day, that's funny. So there you go, you got your month, and then corresponding, you have your July to-do list. So the important dates here don't need to be put here, but these are like the things that need to get accomplished. Your task list, the bigger stuff that you want to use to tackle over the month. It could be smaller things like, you need to make sure to order your contacts, or you have a large project that you need to work on that's going to take a couple of weeks, but you need to get it done in the whole month. And you can even use it for smaller things if you would like, but usually your daily task list or your weekly task list is better suited to the smaller things. Yeah? So you've done your month, and then you can also do monthly pages for other things. Like, say you're like, okay, this is July, but I want to track specific things on a monthly basis, right? Not on a daily basis, but a monthly basis. Just making sure you can still see. And we're going to skip this because that's what we had for daily. Let's say you want to do something monthly. You can create another page. Like, say you want to keep track of your water intake, like for every day of the month, but you want to, but you want to do it monthly. So you could just come to a new page. You're on page 11. You can see that in the bottom corner. And then you can just be like, water, and, put little drops. Yeah, whatever you want to do. Don't worry really about that at the moment. And then you would do the same thing that you did on your monthly calendar. You do the same thing. You'd put the days like this, and then put it here on the side. And then each day, you write in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. You can be like, oh, it's the end of the 1st. How much water did I have yesterday? Oh, you can write 64 ounces, right? Or if you want, you can be like, oh, you know how there are like 8 glasses a day? That's kind of how they do it, the 8. You could be like, oh, each box represents 8 ounces of water, right? So for each box that you check off or you fill in or something like that is considered 8 ounces, right? So 64 ounces, that's 8 glasses of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? I mean, you make the boxes going all the way over here, and you can use your ruler if you want to make crisper lines. If not, you can just freehand it. And then you're like, oh, 64. And so you can shade them in, you can check mark, you can X, whatever you want to do, whatever floats your boat, If you like shading in, if you like checking off, you could do it this way too, or you could just write that. And you can use this to keep track of things, like if you want to do that on a monthly basis. Up to you, depends on what you need to do. So you can also set up pages for any big things that you'd like to track over time. Wait, that's the same thing. Oh wait, so besides having a monthly calendar of something you want to keep track of monthly, you can also create separate pages for things you want to track over time. Not over the month, not over the year, but just in general, like just over a time period. Oh, and also see how we have water here? We're on page 11, so that means you'd go back to your index. We'll just not going to worry about that. Some people have 1 page for their index, some people have 2. You can, whatever works for you. I would start with 2 just in case, if you want to keep this going. But you'd go, oh, water intake You know, you can put a comma if you want and write the number. You can put like a colon in the number if you want to put the page number first and then what it is, you know, whatever you like. It's super customizable. But yeah, this will help. You're like, oh yeah, I have to put down what I took, my water intake, and you're like, oh yeah, index, what page is it on? Oh, it's on page 11. And then you're like, oh, okay, page 11. And then there's your water intake and you can fill it in. But as I said, you can also set up pages for any big things. Like hey, I want to keep track of the books that I read, right? That's kind of one of the big ones, or at least for us. So you're like, books, and, you know, picture of a book. You know, I'm not an artist. And you can even do like books, like say you want to do 2 books, and this one could be like read, like the books that you read, and this could be the books to read, you know? Right? You can have 1 list if you want, or you can have 2. Depends on what you want to do. And you can write down the book, like, I want to read The Betrothed, or I read this last week, so you're writing it down. Then you can go back and be like, did I read that? You can just write down the title, you can write down the author, you can have a little box like when you read it, put them in order of when you read them, because that kind of makes sense. And then if you like say you don't need a to read, but you just need a read, right? Then you could even do, like, say you're just like, okay, this is just books, right? We're not gonna worry about our to read at the moment, right? This is just books. So you have a list of books, and then you can just make a box right next to it and just say, oh, I read that, and you can check it off. So this sort of works as a to read and a read list at the same time. And then, of course, after it, you can write, ooh, April 15th, because that's when you read it, or it's when you finished it. And then over here, you can use this as like your book observation page, right? You could be like, oh, I read it this date, but I want to make some notes about how I felt about it, or I thought it was stinky, or you're giving yourself your own little book review. So you could come over here, you know, write the date if you want, like write April 15th. And the same thing, you know, The Betrothed. I can't spell today. Either way, don't worry about it. No one can read it. So write April the 15th. This could be, what's that? We say books. Oh, look, I forgot there's another point on this. So you could be like books, how I felt. Call it whatever you want, right? And then you could make notes. You're like, oh, you can be like, oh my God. And this is where you could make, you know, it's like quick. You can be like, oh, the main character, just don't, this is my fast, sloppy handwriting, was so dumb. You know, I haven't read this book. It was just on the shelf over there. I saw it. And you can just like, but, you know, dude, person was hot. I mean, you can write however you want. Dude, person was hot. Just a way to put down a couple sentences and an impression about the book, right? Because that's kind of the point of this page, right? So that when you go back, you're like, oh yeah, I read that book. And you're like, but it's a little fuzzy, right? If you jot down a couple of lines about how you felt about the book, kind of like right after you read it, then, you know, you can go back and take a look at how you felt about it, right? And of course, we've got books. We're on page 13. So we go back to the index. And, well, now we can't because I made all of this mess because these are my notes. But then we could go, oh, books, page 13. And then you could call it book reviews. If you want to get specific, you'd be like, book reviews is 14. You know, or you could just be like books 13 to 14. Or you could make it more specific and be like book reviews 14. It's up to you. So we've done our index, right? And then we did our yearly. Talked about that a minute. And then we did monthly, right? And then this is your July to-do list. I haven't put anything on it because for July. There's a lot of stuff, I'm sure. But your July to-do list is your monthly, right? And then we talked about like how you can make pages for other things that you want to track monthly, like water. And then you can make pages for other things that you want to track later on. And you can do that for like exercise, your flute practice, movies you want to watch, television you're watching, cheer routines, like plans with friends. You can even create a page that says memories, and every time you do something that you thought was really great, you could take a minute and reflect about it and put it under a page that says memories, and you can draw, you can put all sorts of stuff on it. But once you set up the index and your yearly, if you really want, and your monthly, then you can set up your bullet journal for your like daily tasks, right? So here's July. In July, I mean, if you don't want, you can always just flip it right over and start with your daily if you want, and create a page for every single day, and then do your other pages that you want to track. But with the index, it doesn't really matter because you're going to have a page. Just depends on you. So here's my July 23rd to-do list, and then we have July 24th, and then let's see. If the page is too big for you and you're like, I'm not going to have that much stuff on my daily to-do list, you can always do it this way and do July, split it up into two, and be like July 25th, July 26th, 27th, 28th, that kind of thing. And that would be basically your to-do list. So this is where you're going to do like your rapid logging. You're going to use these some symbols to organize your notes, your tasks, your events, and it'll help you a little bit. So like here, I'm going to give you the symbols. We're just going to use this. The symbols that you can use, or that was created by the bullet journal method dude, was first there's your bullet symbol. This pretty much you use for everything. So we're going to do a couple of bullets here. Okay, right? And this is sort of the basics that were designed. If you don't like these symbols, you don't have to use them. You can always decide that if you want to use something else, right? So this is your main symbol. It's basically, the bullet is saying things that you need to do, right? So what's something that Kathy needs to do? I need to read, what's that book called? I need to read a book for next week. What is it called? Oh, read Jane Anonymous. Right? I need to read that. What's something else I need to do? Because I want to do that today. Because this is sort of like, what's the day? Today's not the 20th. Is today the 24th? Well, I'm filming this and it's the 25th, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. So that's one thing I need to do. What's something else I wanted to do today? Oh, I needed to clip these need to be short and to the point. You don't want to be fancy about it. Clip my baby chard. I have a baby chard plant on my balcony and it's growing, and I need to clip the leaves to then eat them. And I haven't done that yet. Well, clip baby chard. And then, I need to call my mom because I wanted to talk to her about something. Give your mom some updates. If you live with her, that's great, but sometimes you got to call them. Is there a doctor's appointment I need to do? I'm not doing anything with people at the moment. Ooh, I need to, Play-Doh date. So that's like an event, Play-Doh date. Oh, let's see what else. Can't think of anything else right now. But the other symbols that you would use, bullets. Like there you go. You start with your bullets, right? Your other symbol is like a little X, right? So say I read. Say, I go home and I clip my baby chard, right? I did it. So now you go over to the bullet and you're like, oh, done. And you just put an X over it. Did it. The next one is, say I'm like, oh, I need to call my mom. I'm going to schedule that. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to call her at 3:30. I've scheduled it. So then you do this. saying to yourself, oh, it's been scheduled, right? And then we also have the other direction. So say I didn't get to start reading Jane Anonymous today, right? I want to move it to the next day. I want to move it to July 25th, right? So what I do is I use the other greater than, less than, I can't remember which one is which. You do this, and that lets you know, oh wait, oops, wrong one. If you go like this, that lets you know that this has been mitigated or migrated, basically. Basically, it's just been moved to another day. Like, you know what, I'm not going to get to that today. So I moved it over here, and I'm going to put it on the next day. Read Jane Anonymous. Right? So that lets me know that, yes, I moved it over there. And then Play-Doh date, right? This is an event. I'm going to put it down here because I messed up my bullet, but that's okay. You can use pens, you can use pencils. I'm giving you pens because it's fun to write in a different color. And so Play-Doh date, that's an event, right? So you use like a little circle like that to indicate that's an event. And if you have like a thought, you're like, well, you know, what was the thought? You have a thought, like you use a dash. So you're like, oh, that's a thought. What's a thought? I have a lot of thoughts, but I can't think of any right now. That's so funny. What's a thought? Ooh, should I cut my hair? That's a thought. Sort of thought. Or like, you know, does Sam like me? Or something that happened to you that day. You can write down a thought so that you can think about it later, or that you can expand on it later if you really want to, right? That's a thought. So we have all these little symbols, right? And you can use these to organize. If you don't like these symbols, you don't have to use them. You can always use a different symbol, right? You're like, or if you don't like even the words that they're assigned with. Say you're like, I only need the bullet, the like I did it, and then events. You know, like I only need these three, right? You don't want to use anything else. And you can use any symbol you want. And you can even change the words. So if you don't like the word, you know, task complete, you're fine. Do anything you want. But you want to make sure that whatever symbols and words that you want to use to describe them are somewhere in your planner so that you don't forget what they mean. So you can probably, let's see if we go back to the front. This is our index. I mean, if you have a space down here in your index, down here in the corner, and you're not going to use it, you can always just like make a box and write key. That's not a K, key. And then you can write the symbols, like this is a bullet symbol, and this is like to do. That's what this means. And say when you completed it, you want to use a check mark, right? Instead of an X, so you can be like completed. And say if you have an event that you want to go to, or you have something to do with friends, and you're like, I don't want to use a circle, I want to use a star. So you can be like, oh, and then you can write event. And just make sure that you use those in your day-to-day stuff. So if we go back to, where was I? Oh yeah, index. We were talking about that, July 24th. And so if you'll see in the index, we have July 5th through. That just tells you that this is the month of July. It starts on page 5, because here's July. And then say it went through here, because you can forecast out your dates. And then you'll know how many pages it takes up. Or you don't have to. You can just intersperse your thoughts in any of the pages. Yeah? And if you decide that you're like, oh, I like this whole page for my to-do list, you can also then make the opposite page like your thoughts, like the diary part if you want to. Like at the end of the day, you can look at your to-do list, see what happened, move things around, and then use the other side to talk about like what happened that day. Jot down a few thoughts about, something that happened that you want to remember or not forget. If this is too much page for you, again, you could do this and be like, oh, the first chunk of the page is like my to-do list, things I want to get done that day, right? And then the other half, instead of being the next day, it could always be like July 25th, musings or thoughts or observations, and, one of your observations for that day could have been like, oh my gosh, Mom, like things that you want to remember. Mom was really upset about me crashing the car. I mean, whatever it is that's happened to you. Then you can always look back and, and you're like, wait a minute, I crashed the car on July 25th? You can always put that somewhere in here if you want to. Don't put it on your to-do list, but yeah, you can always make it a part of your stuff. Okay? So those are the symbols that we were talking about. Again, you don't have to use them. You can just go with bullets and check marks, but just make sure you indicate somewhere, have a key so that you know what those things are for. If you want to try this the straight up way, like that's in the little doohickey thing that I'm giving you, do that. See what works for you and throw out what doesn't work, keep what works, and make up other stuff if you really want to. And so if you'll notice, your bullet journal is totally customizable. We did the basics. We have our index, we have our yearly, we have our monthly, and then we have daily. And then we have like things you want to track, like your books, movies, things like that, and then things you want to track monthly. We have that. We've talked about all that stuff. But you can find out what works for your bullet journal. Some people prefer a weekly to-do list. If you find that the single day is just a waste of space for you, then you can always just make July 25th through whatever. You can make this a weekly and sort of break it up into pieces if you want, and just have a weekly to-do list. That's perfectly fine. Some people don't need to see the whole year. They just want to focus on the months. And then so after using it for a month or even a few weeks, you'll be able to fine tune it, knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Okay, let's see. So some people put a lot of effort. Oh wait, where's my list? Oh, here it is. We all did that. Talked about what was in the bag. We did instructions. How to make it fancy. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. So some people put a lot of effort into making their bullet journal look pretty beautiful and fancy. They have special pens. They have stickers. They draw. They put washi tape. You can spend a lot of money making this thing super nice. When all you really need is the journal, a pen, maybe maybe a brushy marker and a pencil, and maybe a roll of washi tape. Just find a roll that you really like, or a set, and that's it. That's all you really need. And a ruler if you really want. You can just go around with a pencil and this. It's what do you call that? It's a really great hobby. If you're already artistically inclined, it makes a lot of sense. You can take the time after you set it up and after you started using it to oh, look, here's my page numbers. I'm just gonna make every page number, look pretty, put it like it's in its own little bubble. You can put little touches throughout your journal, your bullet journal. You can use the little stickers that I gave you to put in your journal. You can get stickers of your own if you like stickers. I love stickers personally. But you can spend tons of money making this, but you don't really need to. Just focus on what works for you and go that route. If you're an artist, you like to draw, your book page might be covered with what you think characters look like and stuff like that. So any way you want to do it to make it pretty. Yeah? And what is it? Oh, I have here, what do I have? I have some washi tape that's got like pineapples on it. And you're like, oh yeah, I love pineapples. You know, say you decide you want to make a page about like your summer plans because, you know, say summer is coming up and it's actually May. Oh, I wish it was May. Then, you know, you can, if you have washi tape that's colored, you know, you can, instead of making a line here, you know, you can just go like this and put your pineapples on it. And this could be like summer 2020, you know, or you want to keep track of what you do over the summer, you know, things you want to remember, summer memories, whatever. Washi tape is super fun, and there's so many kinds of washi tape. There's just like plain colors. This one's got like arrows on it. And then, you know, we've got just ones that are super, just kind of fancy, just shiny, super pretty. You can also use stamps if you want to, like rubber stamps. You can also use like stickers that are letters if you don't want to write with your hands, but again, that can get expensive. But you can also use stamps. Like I've got this little set here of letters that I found at like, where did I find this? I can't remember. Michael's. And it was like $1 or something like that. And if you want to get fancy on some of your pages, you can use stamps and be like, oh, you know, where's my A? Put a little purple. Look, A. Okay, maybe some more purple. A. Okay, maybe even some more purple. A. You can get that fancy if you want. It's up to you how much you want to spend and what you want to do to make it look pretty. I also have this jar of rubber stamps, you know, and if you find one that you like, where's the one I'm looking for? This one will do. Let's see if this green works. These might be kind of dry, but these are little, but you know, you can stamp it, stamp it, stamp it. Oh my gosh. And say you want to use this for your books page, right? So you can put a stamp over here and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. You know, and then you use your pen. See the stamp? Yes, you can. And then, you know, you've written the book here and you can write what day you read it. Like, oh, April 15th, right? And then you write you can write, you know, make some lines if you want to, you know, write the book title, The Betrothed by, what's her name? Kiera Cass, I think it is. And you can like, so many things you can do. Stamps, stickers, so many things to make it pretty. But if you go to Michael's and you go through the stuff they have in their little dollar bins, $5 bins, whatever, you can, that's where I found this kind of thing. And that's, I think I found, you know, if you don't want to make it pretty, if that's not your thing, it doesn't have to be your thing. It's so fine. So, and one of the main points about this journal is not to overthink it, as we tell you here in the end. While you map out your first few pages, you know, you don't have to plan out an entire year's worth of layouts. Just focus on the beginning parts. Your index, your year, if you want to see the whole year, your month, and then either your week or your day, however specific you want to get. And then you know, setting up any pages like for your books, or like, you know, there's tons of things on Netflix you want to watch and you're like, but I don't want to forget. I mean, put them on your watch list, that's perfectly fine. But sometimes sitting down with pen and paper or pencil and paper makes things a bit more concrete in your brain. You know, it makes you focus a little bit more. Yeah. But don't worry about it. Sometimes you might not even like this. It's just something fun to play with, right? And so that's it for the bullet journaling. I'm talked for a very, very long time. Oh, this is a really long video. Anyway, so one more thing after we've done our bullet journal. Oh, and there's this really good quote. Ryder Carroll, the guy who created the bullet journal method, forget about what you see online. It's not about how it looks. It's about how it feels, and most importantly, how it works for you. Because like I said before, you can type in bullet journal on Instagram, or look at the tag, look at online, and there are so much stuff. You know, just forget all that. Do what you want to do. Oh, so it's bullet journaling, but they also call it bujo because that's short for bullet, short for journal. So bujo is also something that a term that they use for people that are really into bullet journaling. Okay, so you've picked up your craft kit, and if you go online for our summer virtual activity challenge, and you go into your account and you click on the button to say that you've completed doing the craft, there'll also be the option to sign up for a giveaway. So when you complete the activity online, there'll be a box for you to write in. And if you want to win, you can win one of these, Moleskine, it's a brand. You can win one of these journals and a $20 Michael's gift card, so that if you want to continue your bullet journaling journey, you know, you want stickers, you want some washi tape, you want something that you know you're really going to like, you can go there, get some stuff. And this one these are lined, which works perfectly fine for your bullet journal. And it also has like a little pocket in the back, so you can put your stuff in, or you can put your stickers in it, you can put, you know, papers in it, or receipts, notes, if you have anything like that you want to keep. So we have 2 of these. If you want to enter, just put yes in the box when you complete the activity. But if you're like, bullet journaling, it's not I like the craft, but I don't want to keep going, or I don't need this, just put no, and I won't put you into the raffle to win. Okay, we are done. Thank you for joining. This is a really long video. You don't have to watch it. You can watch 2 minutes of it and be like, okay, I'm done. But you'll have this little thing in your packet, and that should help you quite a bit. Okie dokies. Bye.